Speaking of joy, today's episode is all about the Australian curriculum music updates. I'm not sure about you, but when I get up in the morning, it's not really the first thing I'm thinking about.
No, it's not exactly. Is it here yet? Is it here yet?
Yeah. In
I gotta
fact,
say,
we first heard about it probably half a decade ago, and it's just
yeah.
constantly coming, but it's not here yet.
Well, stop the clock. I can tell you that I actually. So when I did my dip ed in Lismore, we went up the hill to the district office in Lismore so we could have a look at the new draft Australian curriculum for music.
Whoa.
So that was 1993. All of this, and I don't know what
That
it
was
was,
6 years
but
before it first came out. Was it that
yeah.
like the New South Wales one?
No, like it was at that time we were talking about Australian curriculum in 1993. I'm serious. I don't think I'm making it up. If anyone thinks I'm making it up, please prove it to me. But I'm pretty sure we had to. So part of our dip ed was being ready to teach the Australian curriculum when it came out imminently. So I'm feeling ready. I got to say, I got 20. How many years is that? 27 years in the can or something, waiting.
Yeah. Well, this today was born out of us. We've done some work around the music syllabus for New South Wales. We've got a hour-long video that people can watch called the "Don't Shoot the Syllabus," which is part of a Sydney Con series called About Music Education. And so we're like, oh, let's see what's what's new out there and what the new syllabus is going to bring. And it's really hard, like in preparing for that, it's really hard to tell what's mandated and what are you supposed to do. So I think it'd be good to just talk through that today. Is like, okay, what changes, if any changes, do we have to make
Yeah.
as music teachers since, like, your experience since '93? Did you have to really think about it? Were you
Well,
forced to?
yeah. So I have lived through some in 2000. The syllabus, the New South Wales music syllabus was updated. So I've lived through
Yeah.
that, and I remember getting it and going, "It's the same."
Yeah.
It was the same. Uh, I'm pretty sure the cover changed, and then maybe there's a bit of here and there, but yeah, it was the same, uh, which was good. It's fine because it's our job to bring the syllabus to life, and and I would hope, and I should, and I do. I hope that the syllabus just gives us some of the stuff to think about, but I hope that we're all doing stuff in our classrooms that's so far and beyond what the syllabus mandates. Mandate is what you have to do.
Mm.
And Seth Godin, one of our gurus, talks about there's a difference between have to do and get to do. So I like to think about what we get to do. And so I would, my gut feeling is that as we all look at this new syllabus, sure, we can concentrate on what it doesn't have in it and all of that sort of stuff, but let's just remember this is the mandatory part, and let's just think about that's the have to do, but there's also all of this get to do that we can do as well. So, what's going on with it, Pete?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that we should do is in the links below, we've got some information from the Australian Curriculum website. One about the arts in general, but also there's one that's talks about what's changed and why in the music syllabus. So, figure we could bring up those two links now, and they refer to different documents. So, the first document, which I'll share now, is going to be comparative information with years 7 to 10. So, this kind of goes through what's changed, which is interesting. So, it gives us a table with original and then proposed. And this is changes to the Australian music curriculum. So, since,
Okay,
was it
since the
05?
last time they asked. Yep.
Yeah. And so people have sent in proposals throughout, I believe it was this year, and then it stopped about a month ago, and we'll await the results until next year. So I'm not sure how you want to do this, Brad, but um, we could go down the list and talk about keywords. But essentially, I like I like the syllabus, and I know you do as well. So maybe we start there. Why do we like the syllabus?
Why do we like our current syllabus?
Yeah,
Because it doesn't use the word have to, it doesn't use the phrase have to very many times. So in it, and go and have a look at our don't shoot the syllabus because we actually counted the times that what was that the phrase, Pete? Have to
yeah,
or
or
must? Oh, it
must.
was must. Yes.
Yeah, seven
So
times.
yeah, only 7 times in the whole syllabus did the syllabus writers say must, and that's around you must acknowledge the crown and stuff like that. So we love that it doesn't say must. It's and it says, I think I just counted today, Pete. I counted in our current 3 syllabi, something like 73 times the syllabus writers used the word opportunity or opportunities.
Yeah,
So that's it in a nutshell. I would say that it says must infrequently, and really just about legal terms. And for the most part, it talks about teachers and how the syllabus and the course intention, the aim and purpose is to provide opportunities. So I think that's pretty cool.
yeah. So when we're looking at here, I think this is just a
I think
general.
it's glasses. Hang on, it's glasses on,
I
and
think so. Oh, I've got glasses this week. I new glasses, new but old.
yeah,
People with
kind of
glasses
like the
understand that.
syllabus. You had your original, now you've
It's a
got the
metaphor.
proposed. Yeah. Well, let's just have a look at the proposed because the original, that's over. It's gone
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, I think just if we just skim it, so analyze, um, just keywords, research and apply best practice. I feel
Yeah.
like that's a new
Hang on. Stop
what
the
works
clock. All right.
best.
Yeah, that's problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
One day soon, I'm going to do a rant on a TPAC Tuesday on why I don't like the phrase best practice.
yeah. I mean, the only saving grace is this is in relation to copyright and acknowledging people. So,
Yeah.
um,
Fair enough.
yeah. And then we've got develop and practice, listening, technical, expressive, improvise and trial. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's interesting that we've gone to voices and instruments and we've moved away from because I really liked. Initially, I thought, gee, that's pretentious performing media,
Mm.
but I really like how open that is. I really love our syllabus anytime it's and I guess there's a type of person that says, can you just tell me
I've
exactly
lost
what
you,
to
Brad.
do?
And we're back.
We just had a glitch. We've never had a
Mm.
glitch before. Where were we, Pete? I was just about to do a good. I felt like a good rant was coming on.
Talking about improvisation, performing media.
Oh yeah, yeah. So we've gone to voices and instruments. I remember when I first came to music education from gigs, and people were talking about performing media. I just thought, oh my gosh, that just sounds like a load of claptrap jargon. But then I came to think about. Well, I came to understand that open is good. So performing media just says it's just media that you perform with versus
Mm.
voices and instruments. I just think maybe that boxes. So I get it because it's much because nobody on earth knows what performing media are
Yep.
except people that have had it crammed into them in New South Wales. So
Yeah.
I get it, but and it's probably not that big. Well, no, it might be a big deal, but that's I guess for me that's an example of closing of using language to close things off, and now we're kind of into well, that's not an instrument. Whereas and I think our syllabus coming out of the creative music movement and the comprehensive musicianship movements of the 60s, where it was about exploring and experimenting with sound. And so I love that our New South Wales syllabus nods to those periods because they were really open and
Mm.
exploratory and kind of moonshot sort of times in music education.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go.
Yeah. And the other thing is just with this one here, it's classic. Um, I guess this vibe is all muddled in the HSC external examination as well, just in the language that's used.
Yeah.
Just comes from people that have been in the art music space, like improvise and trial ways to combine and shape the elements of music and compositional devices to communicate ideas and effects when interpreting and composing music. I just find anytime you're talking about effects when you're not talking about effects
Yeah.
in
Is it
music.
like, are we trying to communicate the wah wah pedal?
Yeah, like someone who's writing this clearly has never used effects in post production because you'd just be like, oh, I'm gonna steer clear of that.
Well, again, we could just communicate.
Yeah,
Full
and
stop.
also,
Communicate. Doosh.
yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Good.
let's keep going. Interpret music in a variety of forms and styles, and manipulate the elements of music to communicate expressive
Right.
effects and intended meanings. So,
Where's this effects thing? Okay, so that'd be really good to know. I don't know where this effects dogma is coming from.
mm,
That feels like an import from somewhere. It
yeah,
feels like it's got some baggage attached to it. Uh, and we've got elements now. That's interesting. So I know there's been lots of people that hate the idea of concepts, and they say that that doesn't exist anywhere outside of a few key syllabi. So
mm,
we've got the elements back. So I guess some people will be excited about that.
yep.
Uh,
Yeah, I think the other key things to just look at is the strand now.
yeah,
So we're living inside the arts now, and the arts has
yeah.
a strand. So pop over to the other doc, and you can see it in the here. We've got a nice little introduction that's you can read in detail, but
Yep.
I believe this one,
Okay.
this little tip. So each art has four strands:
Okay.
sharing and communicating, creating, developing skills, practice and ideas, exploring and connecting, learning as artists and as audience, learning by making and responding. All, all good words.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting, especially when I was just listening to Pat Metheny talk about how that breaking down the barrier between artist and audience. It's
Mm,
that I think artist and audience is an interesting construct that doesn't exist in lots of cultures. There's no separation between artist and audience.
yeah,
Uh, so I think that's interesting.
yeah,
But there it is.
yeah. Yeah, cool. And then I think a lot of it, like you said, is fairly similar. But I like that they're using making in there. I feel
Yeah,
like they're pushing an active participation there.
yeah. And I think one of the best things that ever happened to music education was when people like John Painter in the UK uh, had a look over at what was going on in the art rooms and went, "Why aren't we doing that? They've got the crayons out, they're finger painting,
Yep.
they're they've got whatever those. I don't know about you, Pete, but we were allowed. We had knives and we could cut bits out of lino when I was a kid and in art class and
Yeah.
so Painter said, "Well, how come they're over there like that, and we're over here getting all caught up in trying to force children to learn to read treble clef?" And so that was massive, and so that we can see such a huge imprint from those creativity in music, the composers who came into music education in the '60s. So I do get I get a bit I get a bit uneasy when we're all connected up to other things and we're a bit lockstep. Or they do this over in art, so we have to do it over in music. And But there's a lot. We also gain a lot from just that notion that our society seems to be okay with. You're okay to get your hands dirty in the art room, but let's just sit quietly and look at this score in the music classroom.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool.
Yeah. And then got the general stuff in there. Some nice stuff about indigenous music, and then
Yep.
here we go, the rationale. And this is, yeah, for those that don't know, we've been reading David Elliott and Marissa Silverman's Music Matters Too. And it talks about what is music in there. So it's interesting that they've started with music's raw material is sound. In music, sounds are combined and shaped into a meaningful form.
Yes.
So they're already attaching meaning. Which is
Yep.
interesting.
It is interesting. uh,
And all this
yeah.
talk of effects as well.
Yes.
It's all very interesting in terms of they're presuming that like a piece of music or a combination of sound has a certain effect. Maybe not a certain effect, but an effect.
I wonder if we wrote the rationale, Pete, if we might start with music's raw material is persons.
Whoa.
How about that?
Boom.
Imagine if you started there. Some people
I,
have. Dave and
yeah, right.
Marissa.
Yeah, true.
But that's
Yeah.
really so the devil's in the detail, of course. But we've got third paragraph. No, sorry, fourth paragraph. Students' active participation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got all sorts of There's some Brunerian stuff there in the continuous and sequential music learning.
Hmm.
Brunner that was big in the '60s and all of that sort of stuff. And this whole idea of listening with intent, that's an interesting thing. Listening with intent. You're not allowed to just listen. You have to listen with intent. What's your intent? To listen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can't just have fun or just be in the moment.
Just lie down and listen with no intent. Do you have any
Yeah.
intent? No. Get out. Detention. How do you know if a student's listening with intent?
Yeah. Don't
I
know.
can just imagine
Something
putting
that
people.
something I'd be interested in, just reflecting back to your mention of how many times must is mentioned
Hmm.
in the New South Wales one. Let's do a live Command F
Okay, nice.
for must. We go. Ready? You're
Yep.
seeing it live. No results.
Okay. We don't have to do any of it.
What about have to?
Oh, there we go. So there's opportunities there.
Yeah.
That's good. What what else is there, people? So we could probably do as I feel like it's difficult for me in 1993 to take any of this very seriously
Yeah.
because I feel like this isn't going to happen anyway. What are they saying, Pete? And again, I'm so jaded and old from
Yeah.
this. Not about music and music education. I'm fresh as, but about Australian curriculum. I'm pretty jaded. So, what are they saying is going to happen?
In January or February, there's going to be some recommendations put in place, but there's
Oh,
still no like the
right.
final version is going to be released. So, as far as
Okay.
I know, I'm not an expert in these things, but as far as I know, it's still in the development phase. So what we're seeing here is just a proposed curriculum, and something that's been reviewed with a team of people that have been selected by another team of people, probably. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And to be fair, I've had lots and lots of emails about it,
Yeah,
and I didn't do anything about it. But we are today, where we're trying to poke as many holes in it as possible. No, we're here reading charitably, looking to be inspired.
yeah. So this is just the four strands. So content in the strand curriculum, the arts music is organized under four strands: exploring and connecting, developing skills, practices, ideas, creating, sharing, and communicating. Um, and so here we go: exploring and connecting with music works, performances, and practices across times and places. So yeah, it's just like connecting with the other arts is interesting now because we don't have like music specific terminology anymore. I guess like
Yeah,
creating, like we'd just say compose, but is there valid? Is there some sort of valid argument to be
yeah,
to zoom out like this and to say creating?
yeah. I think James Humberstone and I have had lots of talks uh, about composing versus songwriting versus just is there a difference, and does creating cover it all? Uh, yeah, and language is important, isn't it? But I
Mm,
just think I think we have a really this doesn't inspire me like our maybe just because I'm old and I've got shock of the new, but just even the order, I think, and this will focus on skills and stuff. So that
yeah,
order of exploring and connecting, and again from somebody who's just so inspired by the creativity movements of the '60s, how come creating's down at number three? And you might say, well, that's not a hierarchy. Well, if it's not a hierarchy, can we just put creating up the top? They're all equal, but we've got to
yeah,
put something at the top. And just that idea, I'm just scared. It just scares me again because I just see how our syllabus just gets used for miseducative reasons and developing skills, practice, and ideas. That notion, I'm just scared. It scares me that people are going to go, all right, we have to teach them how to do it before they do it.
mm,
And it's kind of the old Bloom's pyramid all over again with you've got to eat your broccoli before you get to the dessert of creating.
yeah,
But certainly sharing and communicating is good. But again, come back to Christopher Small's notion of musicking and that separation between performer and audience is an interesting dichotomy.
mm,
But it is. I mean, but gee, when you go to see young people, I go to young people's concerts uh, with my daughter, and it's very different to old people's concerts because young people. The young people's concerts I go to tend to be musicking experiences where the performers on stage are actually facilitating a participatory musicking experience with the audience, and it's very celebratory and very interactional. And so I'm really keen to help the young people to continue with that
yeah.
and to do more of that.
Um, so the other thing is we don't have duration anymore. It's just rhythm and dynamics and expressive techniques. It's just dynamics and expression.
Yep,
We have form and structure. Tone color is now timbre, and we still have texture.
that's interesting.
So there's some unlearning to do there, Brad.
Yeah,
Well, I've sort of got used to tone color, and then now we have to chuck it out again.
yeah.
So, with for good reason, I think timbre
Poor
will
old
find it.
duration, hey. So
Yeah,
tough, so tough because rhythm is stupid as well because it has two meanings there.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
talking about you're talking about duration, rhythm as. So there's all this stuff. Hey, rhythm. You know how we used to call it duration. We'll have this for a generation. And then what if somebody says, yeah, but what about the rhythm? Now, do you mean the rhythm or the
Yeah,
rhythm?
the
But
element rhythm or the
yeah,
specific rhythm.
or do you want? Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. I don't feel
Yeah,
like that's. So this feels like a bit of a. This document to me feels like a bit of a throwback, bit of a back to basics sort of approach,
yeah,
and maybe a bit of a. Maybe I'm not sure who's driving, but feels like maybe the hippies aren't doing as well in this one. I'm not sure.
yeah. Potentially, there's whenever someone uses best practice, it doesn't smell like a hippie.
It's, no, unless it's best practice for commune development or something like that.
Yeah.
Best practice vegetable growing.
So there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can't cover in a 30-minute live stream, so people
No.
can read it for themselves for just some light bedtime reading. But essentially, it's using fairly similar language, some minor updates to take care of, and then we'll see how it plays out come January. It should be interesting to see where the hippies stand.
Yeah, is it too late to take to the streets?
I think
Just,
you have to
just even doing.
respond.
I was
Sorry,
going to say,
you go.
just even looking there and just seeing rehearsing and presenting. I mean,
Mm,
this is gig-based learning. I mean, but we try to our conception of what a gig is. We try to keep that as open as we. A gig is and in our upcoming ASME presentation, we're going to define what we think a gig is, and essentially, we think a gig's an opportunity.
yeah,
It's not very hip for musicians to be walking around going, "Have you had any opportunities lately?" No. So, we think when the syllabus says provide opportunities, we think a musician's kind of term for that is gig.
yeah.
Get gigs. Uh,
And I think people need courage to interpret the syllabus like that.
yeah,
It's something that we're trying to advocate for and trying to train the other teachers to do is to read the syllabus in that light, especially when just emphasizing the words making. That's a really important emphasis. That's an active thing. It's not
yeah,
handing out a worksheet and going, look at the treble clef, tell me what it is.
yeah. And I
Yeah,
think
it's much more.
yep, and like the people in our beloved Music Matters, just talk about coming back to the natures and values of music.
Yeah,
And music, Christopher Small tells us, is a human doing. Music is something that people do. So our job, we think, as music educators, is to bring this syllabus alive and provide opportunities for people to do music,
mm,
because we conceive music as a verb, and music is something that people do, which brings me back to that comment that the raw ingredient of music is persons. How about
dude.
that? Persons making sound and constructing meaning in the place that they're making those sounds. Anyway, and so if we can just do that, everything's everything's going to be fine. Let's read these documents, and if there's any way, if you're all fired up today and thinking, wow, this is really either A, beautiful, and let's take to the streets and make sure this gets through, or maybe there's some tweaks or something, then click those links and get involved.
Yeah,
That's what we do. And then no matter what document we get, music is a verb. Just remember that.
yeah. So yeah, if you're interested in learning how we've interpreted the syllabus and how we put that into practice for junior, mid, and senior high school, then uh, connect with us using the link below, and we can chat further on how to do that. All right, Brad. The last thing to do is we have a special treat for everyone this week. You have a stool, I
I have
believe.
this. I have the stool of knowledge right here. It's It's got the books on it.
Stool of knowledge, and each leg of the stool represents the three components of TPAC. We've got the technological knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and content knowledge. And so, Brad, for this week,
Yes.
we gotta just spin the chair.
I'm spinning the stool of knowledge, Pete. Yes,
Yeah, and which one? Do you know which one is which?
I do. It's all I feel. It speaks to me.
Have a look at the
And
top.
look, it's come up to be that one. What does that mean for next week, Pete?
Let me have a look at the knots. And oh, is that
Can you tell
That
it
must-
by?
that must be technological knowledge?
Yep. The stool has spoken. The stool has spoken, and it is to be technological. Nice.
That's so silly. We'll get that
Yeah.
at that, guys. I promise.
We're making it up. But look, does anyone else in music education have a stool of knowledge for TPAC? I wouldn't think so, because it's pretty silly.
Yeah. All right, Brad. On that note, we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.